this evening. This parsha is not so as we thought possibly it would be. It's found in Numbers, the 8th chapter, actually. Yeah, 8th chapter, verse 1. And we'll have a more extensive discussion on the text. Before we get into the text, I would like to just talk for just a moment, share a short lecture, if the power stays on this idea the grass is not greener on the other side. In this parsha, we are wrapping up a 1-year stay in the desert. The Israelites had been in the desert for a whole year, giving of Torah, and them staying in the wilderness. In this time of the wilderness, their clothes wasn't wearing out. Their shoes were not wearing out. They didn't go to the restroom. They ate manna from heaven. I mean, it was like being like newborn children, being taken care of everything, all of your needs. It was cool in the day, warm at night because of the fire and the cloud. I mean, they had everything that you could possibly think of and like. And yet, grumbling started to take place. And one of the things that really threw me off when I read this parshat several years ago is thinking how wonderful things were going for them, and yet they start complaining. And what is their complaint about? Was it about not getting enough manna? Not being able to buy new shoes at Nordstrom's? What was it? It was, we had free fish and leeks and onions and spices in Egypt. Now, I'm not sure where they got the free fish thing. I don't know if because they were slaves, they gave them free fish. But the concept is that everything there was free and it was tastier. It was just so much better. And this manna that we're getting is getting to be sort of plain. How many has ever had a diet because of whatever reasons? I know that soldiers have. Paul and I've had a diet this way. Maybe, I don't know if, Dan, you were in this situation, but eating the same food every day for 7, 8, 10 months, right? It can get very old, right? Now, mind you, I would think that I would be at a higher level because I was eating manna, and I just heard the Torah, Metan Torah, the Torah given to me. Maybe I would be at a higher level, not complaining. But to be honest with you, it's tough eating the same stuff all the time. And they were complaining. At some level, they were perceiving the idea that the grass was greener on the other side. Their complaints reached such a high level that God basically said, look, this is what I want you to do, Moshe. I want you to put together a group of 70 elders. And I want you to teach them, show them the way, and they should help you handle the crowd. As I thought about this, and many times we can armchair quarterback these stories and go, well, if it were me, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't complain so much because, I mean, heck, they see the very presence of God descended upon their camp. I mean, how could you complain about that? But you and I both know that it is sort of the human inclination that always looks that there's something better on the other side. Now, I first want to address those who are the righteous in the nations, who have rejected avodah zarah, idolatry, taken upon themselves the Sheva Mitzvot, plus other Torah commandments. And I don't know if it's possible for them to actually leave, crazy place we live in. I'm not sure that a person that's done all of that to get to this place would ever go back. I don't think that any of those individuals that were in that situation would ever say, well, you know, back in my days of idolatry, things were great. I don't want to ask you personally, but I just cannot even perceive that someone would say that. If anything, you would probably give up even more to keep from going back to that. However, I've actually had some beautiful, good, holy, Orthodox brothers tell me that if I did not have to be a Jew, I wouldn't be one. because it would just be so much better to not be a Jew.
They don't know.
They just don't know. Why do they not know? Because they think the grass is greener on the other side. We're all saying in this modern age, no, it's not greener on the other side. If anything, it's much more complicated and difficult. And thank God these are not people who are actually considering it, but I actually had an individual tell me 2 days ago on a phone call from Israel, and he said, 3 days ago, right before Shabbos, he said, you know what, I've told my wife many times if I didn't have to convert, I wouldn't, if I had to convert, I wouldn't be a Jew. And if you had to go through this process to do all this. And he says, you're pretty lucky. And I tried to explain to him, no, I don't think it's luck. I think it's pretty bad that you had to go from where you had to be to get to where you are now. I want you to understand that we have no regrets about the past, but we're not going to go back. We don't think, wow, it sure was much better when I was following blindly a false god. We just don't even think that way. However, whenever a person gets to a certain place, and especially if they've been sort of snatched out and been redeemed, there's always that, because of assimilation issues. Jews have been this way for the longest time. It's like they get comfortable in their assimilation and they don't realize what they truly have and the true blessing. The reason why I wanted to bring this subject up was a lot less for those people who are from the nations and more for my Jewish brothers and sisters who will watch this and realize that the grass is not greener on the other side. If you think for a second that being a righteous non-Jew is a better plight because you don't have to do stuff, you're wrong. If anything, we have to watch ourselves not to say, I would rather be a from Orthodox Jew than be where I'm at. We're acting the same way. We're saying the grass is greener on the other side. And in reality, what we need to do is be satisfied with who we are and where God has put us and be content. One of the greatest things in the world that has helped me is learning to be content with my plight and realize that it is possible to have the very provision of Hashem in every aspect of my life and totally ignore it because my eyes are looking across the fence. It's very easy for the non-Jew to think, oh, one day I'll have a relationship with Hashem when I convert. Or maybe that person, like I said, who is the Orthodox guy that lives in a beautiful part of Israel saying, well, it'd be nice if I didn't have to convert. I would, if it was for conversion, it would be just so much easier to be a non-Jew. The issue is this. We're living in a time so close to redemption that we don't have time to play around, and that we all need to take serious what our duty is in this world. Not what we wish it to be, or what it is right now. Every one of us has a duty in this world. I've been having some very interesting conversations with some people that are really starting to step up from the Orthodox community and helping to establish Noahide communities in the nations. And to hear their excitement and joy at being able to bring together people from all over the world who are righteous, who are not practicing idolaters, who love Hashem with their whole heart, and also those people that are returning back to their Judaism, to see that there's new fervor taking place in the world. And the biggest hurdle that we've got to overcome is to help those who are coming out of Avodah Zarah to realize, and out of idol worship, you are where God wants you to be. And for the Jew who's where they're at, they are where God needs them to be. And the whole reality is once we all determine where we are at as being the right place, considering that we have done tshuva. What is tshuva? Complete return. Now, some would debate, maybe within the Orthodox community, a non-Jew cannot do tshuva because what is he returning to? Well, the reality is, my friend, that the non-Jew does do tshuva, and what is he or she returning to? Returning to Hashem, to Torah, returning to the reality that there is only one God and there's a Torah that was given before Sinai, and that we accept the reality that God spoke to Adam and spoke to Noah and spoke to Shem and Aver and spoke to Abraham and spoke to Yitzhak and spoke to the great patriarchs of faith. We absolutely are convinced of it, and because of that, that's why we are where we're at today. And I hope and pray that I would never hear the words uttered from a person who's made this journey as a Noahide / Ger to say, but it was so nice back in the day. I don't think that I'll ever hear that. Honestly, don't. I know that sounds a little presumptuous, but I just don't think that that is the case. With that being said, I pray that those that are in Judaism would look at the righteous non-Jew who is so filled with joy with your Torah and your relationship with Hashem. They love your Yiddishkeit. They want to see you be better Jews. And they also want to know that you accept them where they're at. And I believe they do. I hear it all the time. And because we are living in the throes of redemption at this very moment, the days ahead are going to be days in which we all approach that promised place where God is going to return us all back to the land. I can't even imagine what that's going to be like. Can you imagine what it's going to be like, the Gerim and the convert and the Noahide and the Jew return back to the land to see Mashiach rule from Jerusalem? Psh, amazing. Great days ahead of us. Great days ahead of us. Baruch Hashem, may you go from strength to strength. May those who watch this video be encouraged to know that the grass is not greener on this other side. Always look down at your own feet and see where your feet are planted. And where your feet are planted, exactly where Hashem wants you to be. That concludes this Shurim. Thank you very much. Can you...